Hi, welcome to the Twinsburg Mayor's Report. I'm Mary Kidd, and I'm here with Mayor Ted Yates. Thanks for coming over today.
Sure, always a pleasure.
So let's start with, now that we're in 22, how's your budget for this year shaping up?
So we've got our temporary budget that's been approved, and so typically what we do is we wait till our year-end close, which we're getting ready to close our year-end. Finance is working really hard on that. And then once that happens, we can kind of really analyze last year's numbers and then go into 2022. Usually we approve it finally in March, so we'll spend the next month or so preparing that final budget, and then it'll get approved and usually a few readings at the end of February, beginning of March. But right now we're looking at a really conservative budget. I mean, we're still really uncertain from a revenue standpoint. We're still having discussions with a lot of companies that, like, two of our largest employers are basically all working from home. So that's going to be a huge hit to the city. We really haven't felt it yet, but we're expecting it. And we're trying to have more conversations with our businesses in town to find out ones who are going remote, the ones who are, part of their staff is. We're just trying to get a gauge on where the business sector is. I think COVID is going to change the way businesses operate permanently. I think they're finding out that they can be as productive without having big offices and spending money on overhead. And so it's going to be real interesting the next, really, for looking long term, 3, 5, 10 years for all municipalities that are heavily income tax dependent like we are, to see where our revenue streams are going to start coming from. But the budget looks good. I mean, we have a conservative budget. Again, the injection of the CARES Act fund and the ARPA funding has helped. So I think our total general fund budget is about $900,000 more than what we expect our revenue, but that's coming out of our ARPA funding that we've been able to secure. So it is a conservative budget, and all the department heads have done a great job, but we'll continue to work with them over the next couple of months to finalize our permanent budget.
And then when it's finalized, that's when you have your State of the City address?
Yeah, so the State of the City, I typically do in February.
Oh, okay.
In past years. Last year I did it in toward the end of April, just because I like doing it in front of a live audience. I think it's better that way. And so I think we're looking at, we've secured the date. We haven't completely finalized it yet, but at the very end of March or like the first week of April. So I'm going to do it that timeline again, just because, I mean, really, COVID is worse than it was last year at this time. So, I just, again, hopefully if we push it out a little bit, and it gets us past our final budget and some other things too. I don't like doing it that late, but again, I'd rather do it in front of people than just do a video and push it out there.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned the COVID numbers. Are all your city buildings still open, and are everything still in person?
Yeah, everything's still in person. So we're still required to have public meetings, which is interesting the way things are right now. But we're canceling those that we can. City Hall is not shut down to the public, but we get little to zero traffic throughout City Hall right now. I think everyone's just kind of staying away from everything that they don't have to actually go to, if they can do with a phone call. But again, I know a couple of municipalities have kind of closed down to the public, but we still have to have public meetings. So our council meetings and any of the other meetings still have to be open to the public. Now we can take temperatures and require masking and those kind of things, but we still have to open it up to the public.
Okay.
Well, on a COVID subject, I know I haven't really mentioned it to you, but the testing is really what's been something that's kind of an issue all over. We get a lot of communication from residents because they can't find rapid testing. They're having a hard time scheduling the PCR testing, which is really the one everyone should be doing. It's right now with the COVID guidelines, with the way that the CDC is talking about quarantining and that, if you have to wait 3 or 4 days to get a test, you're probably almost past your quarantining stage, and then you're still going to test positive, so then you're going to be off work another 5 to 10 days depending on your employer. So, I just actually going out today, we're kind of giving the residents a list of where they can get tested. Of course, CVS has 2 sites in Twinsburg. Walgreens, I think, is still testing in Twinsburg. I know they're testing in surrounding communities. And then we've actually allowed the diagnostic lab out of Dublin to set up operations. They opened today at our Liberty Park parking lot. So so that's going to be a drive up. So you don't need an appointment. You can drive up. There'll be prompts to register. A tester will come out, test you. There'll be 2 types of tests they offer. One's a saliva test, one's the nasal test. They're both the same accuracy as well, FDA approved. So that's just one more option that we've tried to help the residents with the testing. And I know we'll probably get people from surrounding communities too once they figure out that it's there. Hopefully we don't get huge lines like you see on the news. But again, it's just that's been one of the biggest issues, at least in the community, is just finding testing that's that they can do in a timely manner. So that does start today. I'm probably going there from here to check on things, but we are pushing out some notification of that starting today, and hopefully it's something that the residents can utilize.
No, that's great. Will that list be on your website?
Yeah, the list will be on the website. Again, we're probably pushing it out social media and through emails and a lot of stuff this morning. And again, the company is located in Dublin. They've got sites in Columbus and Dublin, in Dayton. They've got 8 locations in Kentucky. They've just opened one in Mansfield. So it's a lab that's been around for 4 or 5 years doing COVID testing, doing all kinds of testing. And then when COVID hit, they started specializing in that. But again, it's hopefully just another option that is easy for the residents
that's terrific.
to access.
Yeah. And I understand you have a new law director.
We do, yeah. So Dave Maestros, our current law director, I think we mentioned at the last one, is going off to Catalina Island to be city manager there. So we wish him the best. He's been a great friend and just a great asset to the city the last 24 years. But we've hired Matt Vazzana. So Matt came from the city of Hudson and is moving over to Twinsburg to be our law director. And so we're excited for Matt. He's got 10 years, all municipal law experience, so all he's ever done is work for municipalities. So he comes excited and with the right background to help our city. But yeah, we're excited for Matt.
Good, and you want to hire some dispatchers as well?
Yeah, we're really working on the dispatchers, police officers. Those are a couple of our big areas. We're short in the department right now. We've got people on injury leave. We've got people that are serving, that are in the reserve, that are we've got an individual serving, Todd Travis. So we always pray for him, but he's over there serving. But our police force is strained right now from a body standpoint. We've had a couple of retirements, so we're trying to replace those individuals, but also dispatchers. We're constantly looking for dispatchers. But so it's one of those things that we're constantly working toward. So.
Okay. And you had some firefighters go to Kentucky to help out there?
We had actually, so one firefighter. So our assistant chief, Steve Basso, is actually now considered a master public information officer. So he's recognized nationally for his work in the public information sector. And so when events like the tornadoes that hit Kentucky happen, he's one of the individuals from across the country that's contacted to come and mobilize down there to help the recovery efforts and just get information out and just help guide the operations down there. So he's worked really hard to get the kind of training that you need to do this and to get the designations. And just we're proud of him, and he's a tremendous asset to the department in a lot of different ways. But to have someone in the public information officer sector to have his level of training at our department is great. But yeah, he was down over Christmas. So he celebrated Christmas, in an office with a bunch of people, trying to help the residents of Kentucky.
That's very impressive. Yeah. Now, also, you're talking about getting more people. You need to fill spots on boards and commissions as well. Yeah,
so there's advertisements gone out for all of our boards and commissions. A lot of them, there could be some new spots opening up. Some of them are just terms that have ended. So, we always have a number of the people that are currently on the boards reapplying. But there will be openings for residents if they can, they can check on their city website, or we do advertisements in the paper regarding those openings. But yeah, this is kind of the time of year we do that, and then we'll, in 4, 5, 6 weeks, we'll set up our interviews and hopefully get those filled.
Now, do those people get paid anything?
So most of our boards and commissions, I think it's like $25 per meeting. So there is some payment that goes out to the residents that do serve. Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Now, I read that you had a record number of 911 calls in 21. Why do you think that is?
So, you know, I think COVID has added to it. You know, and I know our chief has worked, and this is, if you look at the fire side, on the police side, our calls have remained pretty consistent, and those are in the thousands. But when you know, 24,000 calls we get to the police department. On the fire side, you know, cresting over 3,000 calls is a big number for them. You know, when they averaging, you know, 6 to 7 calls a day, and that jumps up like Christmas Day. I mean, I was with my family, and my phone kept buzzing. It's like they had 15 calls on Christmas Day. So it's become very, very busy. But I think a lot of it is, you know, potential symptoms from COVID that people are getting, and it's just, you know, we're trying to educate the public on what is an emergency call. When do you need, you know, our EMS to come out, you know, or should you just be contacting your primary care physician and working through that? So that's been the real challenge, because if we get a call, you know, and a lot of them are from nursing homes. So we're trying to educate and work with the nursing homes on issues that they're staffed to handle versus bringing in a squad. And really the nursing homes are to work with the private ambulance services, but they're so short-staffed and they're so difficult to get right now, they end up calling us. But yeah, we've seen a significant increase in calls, and right now in this early part of January, we're on pace to continue that rate.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, well, on two more pleasant topics.
All right.
We haven't had much snow this winter, so you still have plenty of road salt?
We have lots of road salt, and we have contracted to buy a lot more road salt. So, yeah, so if anyone has big driveways that you know, will allow us to dump some road salt on to store, you know, contact my office. But yeah, it seems the last, you know, maybe 3 years, our events have not been what we've seen in the past. And so we have cut down the amount of salt. So we contract with ODOT right now. It's currently who we contract with. So as a pool, we buy salt, but we have to buy. We're obligated to buy the salt that we contracted for. So even if we have a great year, we can't say, oh, you know what, we don't need it, thanks. No, we still have to buy the salt that we contracted for. So we have to find a place to put it. I mean, one year I think the township was gracious enough to let us store a couple thousand tons, you know, at their site till we could get our dome low enough to where we could bring it over. And it's crazy because we're going through that right now. But you know, we'll still have snow here and we'll still be spreading salt. But right now, you know, it's one of those situations where right now we're going to have a lot of salt piled up somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you may have medical marijuana dispensaries on an upcoming ballot?
Yeah, so this was something that when Ohio opened up, there was an additional 73 licenses that they were opening up in the state. That created a new influx of really the existing cultivators and processors that wanting to open up dispensaries, as well as new organizations forming that wanted to do that. So we were contacted by several people asking if we were permitting it. So by statute, a municipality can prohibit dispensaries or any form of the medical marijuana industry in their municipality. We had conversations with cultivators. They're in an industrial area, and then the amount of regulations that really control those sites we were okay with. Dispensaries, we wanted to take a little bit longer look at, and we wanted the residents to share their thoughts. I mean, I have my own opinions, and I don't really support having dispensaries, even for medical marijuana, because when you start looking at the companies that are really positioning themselves to opening up medical marijuana dispensaries, they're trying to position themselves for the recreational, approval of the recreational. And if they're in our communities strictly for medical, I think it's going to be a tough legal battle to prohibit them from having a recreational type retail store. So that's one of the things that I have, I'm concerned about, and you know, probably be vocal about once this gets on a ballot and gets close to the ballot. But that's just me. I know different residents have different opinions about marijuana, and and it's whether it's recreational or marijuana. But council wanted to go ahead and put it out to the residents. Planning Commission wanted to basically proposed it as a conditional use in our C2, C3 area. So it's just one of those things. We'll see what the residents say and go from there.
Will it happen right away, like February or May, or are we talking down the road?
So May would be the ballot. So that would be the vote, would be in May. So it would go on the ballot in May. Again, what that would do would be just to change our coding, our building codes and zoning code to allow it as a conditional use in the C2, C3 district.
Okay.
So if the residents vote it down, then we've got to kind of go back and see what we're going to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me about this award that the city won.
The NOPEC Award?
Yes.
Yeah. So we've done a really good job of trying to decrease our carbon footprint and to make the city greener. And our partnership with NOPEC, they're our electrical provider, and so we get a grant every single year, an energy grant from NOPEC that we are to use to install cost savings, energy saving measures in the city. And so we've done things almost all of our lights are now LED. We've gone through a lot of changes in our fire department, at our fitness center. We put in our charging stations for electric cars using the NOPEC grant. So every year, there's about $40,000 that comes in that we look toward spending. And so so we were recognized for all of our work.
Well, congratulations.
In the city. Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's something that sometimes is very challenging to do in a municipality, because it takes investment, it takes money, it takes time, it takes effort to start changing the way you think or changing the way that you operate. And so all of our right now we have a bunch of city projects going on internally where we're redoing offices and conference rooms and those kind of things. Our service guys are very talented and can do all that kind of stuff, but all that usually entails changing out lighting and putting in LEDs and whatever we can do that's energy saving.
Well, along those same lines, you have a Christmas tree recycling?
We do. We've closed that down. It's at Liberty Park, but we've closed that down because we've opened up the COVID testing site there. So I didn't want.
Right.
I have no idea what's going to happen with this testing site. So if you have a Christmas tree that you would like to recycle, we're getting toward the end of that now. But you just contact City Hall, and then we'll probably have a location that's going to be out near the service garage that you can drop it off.
Okay.
But I know we removed it. It was funny. We removed it on like a week ago, last Friday, and so there's a dumpster in the parking lot at Liberty Park, and there was still signs up for Christmas tree drop off. And I drove by early in the morning one morning, and there was Christmas trees piled up all around and inside the dumpster. We took care of it, but I thought it was funny.
It made it smell better.
It's they just figured that was the spot. But,
All right. Well, my last thing is the Parks and Rec Department is allowing sponsorships. Yeah,
we've been working on this for a number of years. I know, certain mayors and certain municipalities and council are, really opposed to private public partnerships on things, but I embrace them. I think it's a really healthy way to help to fund, especially a lot of our Parks and Rec activities, as well as just get our local businesses some more advertisement out there in the community. So so we have a number of different ways that businesses can sponsor, whether it's buildings or events or areas in the city. But Parks and Recs, we're trying to embrace that public-private partnership to, it just opens up ways of doing things. When you look at the high school and the way they partnered with the different businesses for their scoreboard and for different things that happen there. I mean, it's, we're almost all kind of forced to do that. I mean, we, whether anything recreational that goes on in the city, that's just money out of the general fund to do, and it's important in our quality of life. We really want to maintain, and a lot of that, deals with what we do in Parks and Rec, but it's nice to have, businesses involved that'll help fund some of them.
Right, okay. Well, thank you so much.
Sure.
And thanks for watching. We will see you next month.
I got my COVID-19 vaccination, and here's why. This isn't about gimmicks or sentiment or what commercial I like. This is about facts. COVID-19 vaccines are safe and effective. Millions of doses have already been given in the United States, and these vaccines have the most intensive safety monitoring in U.S. history. When you need more information, use a reliable source like the CDC website. And get the facts.